we could talk about. We've got work to do. We're wasting time, and the public deserves better. Next up, General Kelly.
Thank you, guys. I'm Trent Kelly from Mississippi, and I've served for over 37 years in the military. And we're here to accomplish a mission, but we have to do that. And one of the things that frustrates me the most is I've served in combat, and I've led troops in combat. But when you have troops that question decisions of leaders without good basis for doing so, you have to either articulate that basis or get out of the way. So think about this. We need U.S. grant here, unconditional surrender. You have 20 people demanding that 201 surrender to them unconditionally. Well, I will not surrender unconditionally. If you have conditions, give them to us. We'll consider them. Doesn't mean we'll do them, but you have to talk about them. But we've asked and we've asked, what is it you want? What do you need? But you have 20 people demanding the unconditional surrender of, including this group of warriors. We will not unconditionally surrender. Tell us what you want. We might surrender if you tell us the terms, but just so you know, we're in the strong position. There's 201 of us and 20 of them. And with that, I yield back, and I will be followed by Mr. Garcia.
Thank you, General. Mike Garcia from California. It's an honor to be here sharing the stage with true patriots. Everyone on this stage at some point in their life was willing to give their life in defense of this precious gift called the United States of America. We would still do the same so that our fellow Americans don't lose their liberties, their freedoms in this very special experiment called America. It's a continuation of what our founding fathers did when they came out of Constitution Hall. They weren't all ecstatic. They all made compromises. They all gave in to certain concessions that maybe they didn't feel good about. But with that, we were given the Constitution of the United States and the liberties that we now enjoy therein. And so what matters to the American people right now is not the squabbling within the halls of Congress. We've had the concessions. We've had the compromise. We've had our internal elections and the conversations that were a continuation of what our founding fathers have done. And we need to put all of that behind us, do our jobs as members of Congress, legislate, elect a member, the Speaker of the House so that we can actually be members of Congress and move forward, and once again, protect this beautiful nation like we have all done in the past. Many of us were very close to giving our lives in defense of this country, and we will do whatever it takes to make sure that we can continue that. With that, I'll introduce my good friend, Brad Winstrup.
Brad Winstrup from Ohio. 25 years of military service, and I've been here for 10 years. And since I've been here, one of the things that I noticed over time, and this is from both sides of the aisle, if you want to get things done, it helps when you have veterans involved. Veterans, and I'm a physician, veterans and doctors, we come together, we get things done. There's a mission out there. That's not what we're seeing today. And you know, in the military, you know, when you get promoted, you have been promoted by your peers. Your peers have selected you for promotion, and you live with that. And some people may not agree with that promotion, but you live with it and you go out and accomplish the mission. These guys have all talked about the many missions that we have as members of Congress. We want to get going on it. We want to get going on it. But we have some people that won't want to live with the decision of their peers. And that's for Kevin McCarthy to be Speaker of the House. We've got to solve this because we've got to go to work because you all deserve it. I yield back to Mike Waltz. Thank you.
Okay, questions? Sorry.
Hi, this question is for, I guess, anyone on Intel or HASA. Are there any other security things that you don't have access to right now because of what's going on?
We don't have access to anything.
Normally there would be,
Facility where we work every day,
Yeah.
we can't go in there.
and come on.
Yeah, the secure facility that we work in every day, when we're here, we can't go in there right now because we're not. So as threats are around the world, we would get daily briefs if we want them. We're in there all the time. And right now we can't be in there at all. And we have the job of oversight over the intelligence community and the things that are taking place around the world. And I think Mr. Gallagher touched on that very eloquently today, where a meeting he was supposed to have on a very significant part of this world and what's going on there and how it can affect America and our national security, they can't have that meeting.
Yeah, and I'll just, in addition, Representative Gallagher, with the vote of the Congress, was supposed to be or has been chosen to be the chair of the China Select Committee that we're not getting underway. I'm supposed to be sitting down and talking about the recruiting crisis. Apparently, the National Guard has been informed by the Department of Army that the vaccine mandate that we put into law only applies to active duty, but not the National Guard. The repeal of the vaccine mandate doesn't apply to the National Guard. So there are all kinds of issues that only we can work out and work through on these national security committees, and we're not doing it. Yes, ma'am.
Given the stakes that you presented here, are all of you just Kevin McCarthy and nobody else? Or are there going to be conversations in the very near future, like tonight or maybe tomorrow, that it's time to start thinking about maybe Mr. McCarthy might have to step aside and start thinking about somebody else?
No, I think the frustration has been these conversations have been going on for months and months, and I'll just speak for myself, and anybody else feel free to step up. But McCarthy has given concession after concession, many of them very good. I think many of them we agree with. This body does need to change, and certainly after the last several years under Nancy Pelosi. I actually thought it was moving in a right direction, but this group has now managed to kind of snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. And the victory was this Republican majority. I'm going to vote for Kevin McCarthy as long as he's on the ballot. That is what that's what we committed to do, and I certainly share my colleague's sentiment, Representative Kelly's sentiment, that there is negotiations and then there's holding the rest of us hostage. And 20 don't get to do that to 201. I don't know if anyone else.
Again.
Please.
I'm just going to speak up. I'm not a combat veteran. I'm a 24-year veteran. My husband, 30 years, and I'm a doctor. We don't question the hearts of our colleagues who are voting no. We know, like the majority of Americans, that they feel the country is on the wrong track and that Republicans were put in charge and in a majority to get the country on the right track. What we're asking is that they listen to their heart, but also start listening to their intellect and to their brain. And I would implore people in our districts to give us the concession that because we are here and we're voting for Kevin McCarthy, there are reasons that we do so, that we think he's the best person to be the speaker at this time, and for them to trust in us that we know that, and to start contacting all of the veterans in Congress, both the incoming who have never been sworn in and those of us waiting to be sworn in, waiting to be chairs of committees, to implore those members voting no to vote yes, to allow us to set up committees, to allow us to set up investigations, to allow us to pass a bill that would defund 87,000 IRS agents who are going after small businesses and average Americans, to allow us to put forward an energy independent agenda, to allow us to secure our border. I would implore them to ask them to use their intellect, because this game is ending, and it is ending soon. Thank you.
Sir.
Yes, Gary Groback from NBC News. You guys have talked about, you're having this press conference, but what are you doing from a member-to-member basis? What conversations are you having to try to convince these 20 to go with McCarthy?
Well, look, I mean, I asked a member, one of the no votes this morning, what is it? We went through everything that's been conceded in terms of the rule changes. And I don't even like to call it a concession. I really think the vast majority of them are moving in a positive direction. But what is that thing? And the answer I got back was, things have got to change. Well, that's, I mean, we need specifics, right? And what I think you're hearing in our collective frustration is we're not getting anything specifically back. What gets us to that 218 with Kevin McCarthy so that we can move forward? Because we have just as many as you saw from vote after vote after vote. It's not as though momentum is shifting. Each side's digging their trenches deeper, and I think that's a disservice to those men and women that are overseas depending on us and to the people who elected us. And I don't know if, yeah, go ahead, man.
I think I've talked to probably 15 different members who are voting for someone other than Kevin McCarthy. And I've asked them, what do you want? What does it take? What can I do to help us get there? And I've not gotten an articulate answer of exactly what's needed. Now, I'm not mad at any of those people, and I think they all have justifiable reasons why they are where they are. But that being said, we have to come to something that allows us to get there. And I think that those guys are meeting with Kevin McCarthy now and with other members of leadership. I think each person here, Don Bacon saw me last night. I mean, I've engaged with almost every single member who has voted for someone other than McCarthy in a good way, because we've got to bring the temperatures down. We can't call names. We can't be ugly to people. But what we got to do is say, what do you want and how do we get there? I can either give it or I can't. And we've got to do that. But I think almost everyone is having one-on-one conversations.
Mike, can I make one quick
Yeah,
comment?
sure.
I think it's important for everyone to recognize, I think you guys get this, but I don't know that the average American understands the process with this yet. This didn't just start yesterday, right? This is on the back of 2 months of meetings, and I think we've had something like 16 meetings as either a larger group as a conference or with these folks and leadership or other members within our conference. And we actually did make roughly 22 changes to the rules package that were a direct result of the conversations with some of these folks that are objecting to this. So, you know, above all things, the folks on this stage, we don't put a human being on a pedestal. We put the Constitution and law and order and the process and the protocols and the procedures that we abide by as Americans on the pedestal. We have gone through those processes, those protocols, with a vast majority ending up with an answer. And now all we're asking for is to honor that and to close the deal and simply call for the final election.